evening, and I just want to do a quick check. Hello, Peter and Suzanne, and hello, Margot. I see all of your names, and I just am embracing technology. Just put a smile on your face, because if you know me, it's a big deal. And I just want to ask this question. Can someone let me know? Hey, Larry, can you let me know how my voice is coming in, if the reception is really good, please? Just someone let me know. Anyone? Clear? Thank you. All right, well, let's get the party started. I was meditating today in prayer meditation on my run, and I had intended to train on something else, and I was saying, okay, what is it that people really want to learn from someone like myself? And the biggest question I get asked about is really this whole concept of prospecting. And I just came back actually from training the Art of Connection Power Prospecting with David Wood and Dr. Paul Anderson. We had 300 people in the room, and it was absolutely incredible, and such transformation, and really seeing people step out of their comfort zone and into a new place of certainty and clarity. And a very quick story, there was a gentleman there who had served his country in the military, and he had served in several tours in Rwanda and Afghanistan, and he was broken, terrible PTSD. He, in fact, had been shut in his house for the last 2 years, not wanting to go out, not willing to go out, and absolutely terrified to be in public. And the person who had introduced him to Isagenix, a fellow soldier, said, you know what, for your first trip out of the house, you really need to come to this event. It's going to be a great environment. And he got up the courage to come. And on the last day, here was this big soldier with just tears welling up in his eyes, thanking us for creating such a great environment. And he said, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on therapy, and nothing has really assisted me, but this weekend I truly feel that my healing has begun. And what an incredible culture we have in Isagenix. And when we're contemplating prospecting, this is what we're doing. We are inviting people to join our culture. And if you can keep your head around that, then you're definitely going to go all the way to the top. So with that, I'd like to get us started. So this is a presentation that I put together, and it's really around setting yourself up for prospecting and connecting. And so the first thing we want to do is just embrace this concept of prospecting. I'll just go back there. Embracing, pardon me, see, I'm at ha-ha, we could all laugh. Susan doesn't know what she's doing. I don't know why my slides are changing for me. They're not supposed to be doing that. But embracing this concept, and that we want to understand that all of our actions when it comes to prospecting are the actions that either take us toward our dreams, away from our dreams, or allow us to dream. So again, my slides are changing. I have no reason why that is. If someone knows why they are automatically changing for me, I don't know. So I can't stop the slideshow. Who knows? Oh, and my voice is cutting out. Excellent. Okay. I'm just going to pause it just for a minute, because I'm absolutely not sure why this is happening, that it's going all wonky. Okay. Hopefully this is going to stop it. Okay, it's great. Thank you. All right, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Okay, here we go. So now the slides aren't moving, and I did do this last week, so it did work. So we'll just, sort of get back on focus and back on track. So I want you to think about this. When you're making a decision to prospect and connect, that is something that moves you toward your dreams. It allows you to step into that next level of beingness, of why you are doing your Isagenix business in the first place. And when I first started, my vision was really to be able to create some freedom in our family. We were in desperate straits financially. I mean, Chris and I fought all the time. We were really in a place where we had to borrow money from our parents, and we weren't proud of that. And I was 30. I was very, very sick, and Chris was 33. And I just made a decision that this wasn't how I wanted to live my life. And when I started to get the results on Isagenix, I had my first dream was to be able to send Avery, our oldest daughter, to a special school because she was gifted, but I couldn't afford that school. It was $10,000 a year. So I ordered the brochures for the school and I put them up in front of my desk where I made my calls, and I was in my son's bedroom, and he had this little Thomas the Tank Engine bed, and I had this old desk and a wooden chair from IKEA, and every call I made, I just kept thinking, I'm getting closer to putting Avery in that school. I'm getting closer to changing the circumstances. And when I thought about not making calls because it's easy not to make them, I thought that takes me one step away. So you want to make a decision that every single day that you're going to go out there and connect with people, because it does move you closer to where you want to be. You also want to take that time to dream. So if you can be in a place where you say, I'm going to take some time every single day to visualize. And visualization was a huge thing for me in the beginning. It is for me today. So I would go out every morning and I'd be running and I'd be visualizing my perfect day. And that perfect day would include being able to take my daughter to that school, and that school had this beautiful long laneway, and it was about 100 yards long, and it was lined with trees, and it was this massive historic limestone building with other sets of buildings and a massive chapel. And I visualized driving up there and dropping her off in her uniform. And then I envisioned taking AJ home. He was just a little baby, and then digging in the garden and planting flowers, and then spending time on my Isagenix business and just feeling so happy and fulfilled. So every day I visualize that. And today, I still have dreams and things I visualize, and I created a vision statement, and of course I have a vision board, and I make sure that every day I take that time to visualize. And I want to share something that Carol Taylor shared with me very early on. She said, Susan, every single day you want to go into your online office and you want to look at your placement tree and you want to visualize where it says your cycles. You want to visualize the next level. So if you're cycling 5 times a week, visualize 10. If you're cycling 10, visualize 20. And she said, do that every day. And the last thing before you shut your computer off at night. And so even now, just last week, we're so close to maxing out the reentry. And I do it every day. I just visualize for a few minutes and visualize what I attach to that level of cycles, right? So if you're cycling 5 times a week, well, 10 times a week is $28,000 a year, right? And 20 times a week is $56,000 a year. So what does that really mean to you? And it has to be about more than recognition and going up the golden circles. You have to attach the meaning to it. So does it mean you could take your family on vacations or retire yourself or your partner from their job? Does it mean that you can actually put some money in the bank? I mean, so much goodness can come from increasing income. Does it mean you can tithe more? So there's so many wonderful things you can do. And every time I achieved a new rank in Isagenix, we sponsored a new child from World Vision. So now we have 20 World Vision children. And it's been very rewarding to be able to do that. But it really begins with taking action every day and also visualizing every day. So important. All right, let's see if I can go to the next slide but not have them jump all around. So prospecting is the foundation of our business, and we want to consistently be enrolling a minimum of 2 to 4 people a month. Of course, we have Enrollers Club right now, and that means that when you personally enroll 5 people in a month, that you will receive a free pack of Ageless Essentials with Product B, or 10 people, and again, all on auto ship with 100 BV or more, that you will get 2 packs of Ageless Essentials with Product B. So if we contemplate that the actions that we take to be able to do that, then we have to say that for every 10 people who look at information, the likelihood is that 2 will enroll. So, and we also know that 70% of sales happen after the 4th follow-up. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So you can pretty much do the numbers. So if you commit to having 2 people a day look at information 5 days a week, you'll likely enroll 2. If you want to be an enrollers club, you did that every day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks out of the month, you're definitely going to do it. And if you're already a great prospector, then don't do it alone. Take people with you so they can watch you and listen to you. I remember one time I was in Dallas, Texas, doing a generic speaking event with Mark Victor Hansen and Jim Rohn and Jeffrey Combs. And I had some people there from Isagenix, and I went out into the mall and I grabbed one of the gals. I said, okay, let's go prospecting. I walked into stores and got business cards, and I showed her how I did it. And it's so important. So some other things that people are doing, which is lots of fun. I know people are getting on conference calls and they're just jumping on there and they're listening to each other make calls. And I mean, all of that is really great. You just can't record the people being called because that is illegal to record people, but you can hear other people doing it. Let's talk about why we don't prospect. Number one is, if we look at the 4 levels, is that we don't like it and we don't do it. So this is where we procrastinate on it. And you know, how many of us have ever been in this place? We don't like to prospect it, so we just don't do it. But does that really get us paid? No. Does that help our team? No. So the next level is we don't like it, but we do it anyway. We don't like it, but we do it anyway. And honestly, from that place, you can be very powerful. I was in that place a lot in the very beginning. I didn't like it, but I knew if I didn't do it, I wasn't going to move forward. Now, the 3rd level is we like it and we do it easily. And if you think about the great recruiters in Isagenix, they like prospecting, they do it very easily, and they have a lot of fun with it. And the 4th level is that you begin to like it and you can also teach it. So you can break it down into bite-sized pieces and you can assist people. And I want to tell a very quick story around that. Many of you have heard about Pam and Kevin Barnum, and Pam and Kevin are 5-star golden circles. They got to 6 figures in 6 months in Isagenix. And they are just people who had never done network marketing before, but they made a decision that they were going to go out there 5 days a week and collect 3 names each, and they were committed to having 3 people a day look at information. Well, they also encouraged their team to do that, and they taught them how to do that, and that's why their team grew so quickly, because they weren't just doing it, they were doing it and they were teaching it. And if we look at the 3 steps, first we learn it, then we teach it, and then we observe it. And it's the same thing with an in-home presentation. So we do the in-home presentation, our people are watching. Then they do part of it, we do part of it, and when they're doing it, we're watching. And the 3rd step is they do it and we watch. That's the duplication, because the whole name of the game is you want to create duplicatable, self-sustaining leaders. So it begins with your story. So what's your story? This is Diana Frerick, and Diana is an amazing woman. She hails from Phoenix, Arizona. Some of you know her partner in life, Kevin Steele, and Diana and Kevin are on an airplane right now coming back from Canada from Power Prospecting. And so Diana's story, this is her. After, I believe, 3 months on Isagenix, she looks like a completely different woman. And so you want to develop your own story, and this is a bit, the next slide is a bit of my story, and this is me at 200 pounds. Now, this was a little bit before Isagenix, but one of the reasons I share this picture is because I know what it's like to struggle with weight. In that picture, I'm a size 18. I'm wearing men's 38 waist jeans, if you can only imagine. And I was embarrassed and humiliated. And it's really tough when you're carrying extra weight, because one of the things that we look at in this society is people who are overweight are publicly ridiculed, even though we have an obesity epidemic. So I do know what that's like, and it is very challenging. So creating your own story and creating a story around Isagenix. So can you talk about the company founders? Do you know that Kathy Coover was the top income earner in 3 separate companies, and that Jim Coover was at the helm of a $1 billion diet company in the 80s? Do you know that The founders, Jim and Kathy, have been consultants in the network marketing industry for the past 2 decades. And also John Anderson, he has formulated over 2,300 nutritional products. Do you know our historical sales? 1.5 billion to date. And of course, we've been in the media, in USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, the list goes on and on. We've won awards. We've in fact received 3 congressional commendations, 2 for philanthropy with our work with child health, and 1 for business. And can you share some of the success stories? Because that's the big thing, being able to share, for instance, that Larry Fuchs was our first 200-pound club member. So being able to do those things. And how do you get really good at those things? You attend events and you plug in, because people want to know, is this a legitimate company? What did the products do for you? What are they going to do for someone like me? Are they safe, and how much do they cost? And if you can really address those things in your prospecting, you are going to really take care of the majority of questions right at the forefront. So I get this. Where are all the people, Susan? So these are the different methods where you can actually go prospecting. And I apologize. I think this is my computer, because when I press the button, even though I stop it, it's automatically advancing the slides. So where are all the people? So here are some different opportunities. So face-to-face prospecting. You want to become masterful at connecting with people when you're out and about. Do not prejudge anyone. So many people say, well, you know, Susan, I don't want to talk to people I know. I just want to talk to strangers. Well, if your belief in the products is strong enough, why wouldn't you talk to people you know? Yes, some people in your life can be very negative, but you don't know what the people who you're encountering on a daily basis are going through in their own lives. And a very quick story is that the reason I'm in Isagenix is because the person who enrolled me, I was her personal trainer. So that just gives you an example. She wasn't calling leads. She was actually connecting with people she knew. Now, leads. You can purchase pre-qualified leads through My Isagenix, and leads are great to give you more people to call. But again, I don't encourage you to put all your eggs in one basket. You can run ads. Ads and leads are going to cost you money, but I have run ads. I've done ads in the Rob Report, in USA Today in the past, and that's great. Now, my preferred method is face-to-face. I like to go to events where people are there because they want to make more money, they're entrepreneurs, that kind of thing. I like to meet people belly to belly and look them in the eye and see if this is the caliber of person that I want to join my team. You can call out of the phone book or out of online, and I'm teaching that coming up on the Health, Wealth, and Freedom team, and Larry can put that phone number up for you if you don't have it. And basically everywhere. The people are absolutely everywhere. Now, this is a story about Chantelle Sephora, and she is a mom, and she has 3 small children, and she lives in a small place, a town that is 400 people. And she is a 3-time Team Builder Excellence Award winner and a 1-time Diamond Team Builder Excellence Award winner. She's a 4-star Golden Circle, 4-star Crystal Executive. And what Chantelle did is she just got very, very disciplined. She's a teacher, a high school teacher, and she started Isagenix, and she didn't want to go back to work. So what she would do is she would reconnect with friends from teachers college, people who she went to high school with, acquaintances, family members on Facebook. She'd ask them what they were up to, and then they would say, well, what are you up to? And she'd say, actually, you know what, I'm feeling great. I'd love to tell you what I'm up to. Can I give you a call? So she'd take it from Facebook to offline, and she's recruited numerous people off of Facebook, her acquaintances. And one of the things Chantelle would say to you is that you want to paint a picture of what Isagenix can do, a very vivid picture, not just about the products, but also about the business opportunity. And that's really, really key, because when you're connecting with people, the tendency is to really just talk all about yourself and what it's done for you, but take that time to actually find out what they're looking for in their lives and show them how Isagenix can get it. And thank you, Annette. I do appreciate what you just said, and this was working last week, but I do have a bit of a technical glitch in my computer after the weekend, so this is probably the last time I'm using this laptop because I have a brand new Mac sitting in my computer bag right now. But let's talk, and I need to get rid of this one, but I'm kind of attached to it. So yeah, the mouse thing is broken. So let's use the 3 simple steps. So number 1 is that we're going to connect. We're going to connect with a person. We're going to take that time to really do a discovery. So when you're talking to people, are you physically asking them questions, or are you really making it a point to try and get Isagenix in there as soon as you possibly can? So let's say I'm talking to Annette. I want to say to her, so, hey, you know, how are you? She's going to say, how are you? And I'm going to say, you know what, Annette, I'm unbelievable. In fact, I'm feeling better than I've felt in years. And she's going to say, wow, you know, that's great. You know, what are you doing? And I would say, well, Annette, you know what, I've really decided to change the way I was looking at my health, because honestly, the way I was going, it just wasn't what I wanted in my life. I was exhausted. I was waking up tired. I couldn't sleep at night. I had discomfort in my body. And I thought, this is no way to live. But Annette, you know what? Before I tell you what has happened for me, you know, I'd love to find out what's really going on with you. So as fast as you can, give the person a little bit of a tease and then turn it back and ask them questions. And Annette would say, wow, you know what, Susan, I'm really tired. I don't have a lot of joy these days. And I might then ask another great question, say, Annette, what strategies do you have to deal with that? And she'd say, well, you know, I thought about joining curves, or I thought about, you know, going on a master cleanse, or, you know, doing something. And well, it's funny, Annette, you should mention that, because actually what changed for me is I did a great cleanse. And she'd say, wow, tell me more about that. And I'd say, Annette, you know what, I would love to share more with you about that. Are you online right now? So this is the P, present. And so Annette says, yes, I actually am. So you have her pull up isamovie.com. Are you toxic, or, you know, whatever resonates based on the conversation. And then after she watches it, you collect a decision. So Annette, what did you love about what you saw, or what excited you? And then she's going to share, and then you answer her questions. What questions do you have, Annette, in order to really get started, to find your joy, to have that energy? And you either at that point are doing a 3-way call, or you're providing her with more information. It's that simple. Don't make it more complicated, guys, because often what I observe after being in this business for 8.5 years now, and building a team of about 122,000 people, is that we tend to say more than we really need to, and we're never talking people into Isagenix. We're only talking them out of it by saying too much. So what is the C.A.P.I method? The C.A.P.I method is something that we do that just gives you a simple acronym to remember all the steps of prospecting. And where this comes from was actually, the foundation of it was when I was working in management for the largest health club chain in the world. I was given a department to run, and this department had the highest sales quotas in the whole chain. And so my boss kept saying, hire more people, because his vision was, if I had more salespeople, the department would bring in more money. And I gave him some pushback. I said, let me train the people that I have, because what I could see is I had a bunch of trainers who were working under me, so 54 personal trainers, and they were not making the money that they needed to make ends meet. And I thought, but your solution is to bring in more trainers to compete with them. So I taught them this method, and guess what happened? Our sales went from 300,000 to over 1 million. And I suddenly had all these trainers who were learning how to more deeply connect, and also to generate more clients. So when we're connecting with people, first thing we've got to do is slow down to speed up and find common ground. So you don't just go in with your agenda and say, oh my gosh, I just discovered this cleanse and it's endorsed by Jack Canfield, it's been on the news. You want to take that physical time to connect. And the reason why is that people tend to do business with people with whom they have things in common. So you can get to common ground about the weather, you can get to common ground about the situation. Maybe you're both in the chiropractor's office. You can get to common ground about, you know, within a favorite website or a blog, but there's lots of opportunities for common ground. Then you affirm the person, you give them a genuine compliment. Be authentic with your compliments. So for instance, when I see Larry Fuchs, I always say, Larry is, you know, one of the best huggers I know. I can't say he's the best, because my husband would probably get a little upset, but Larry, you really are. And I just, you know, he's such a beautiful, genuine person. And when I say that to him from my heart, he just lights up. So affirm people and make it your personality. I just weave it into the fabric of who you are, to be that person who genuinely compliments others and takes the time to do it, because people are going to naturally be attracted to you. And then get permission. Here's a statistic. If you're not doing any of the Health, Wealth, and Freedom Team trainings with us, you may or may not know this, but 3 out of 5 American women have been sexually or physically abused. It's 3 out of 5. And the statistic for boys is about 2 out of 5. Now, I want you to understand that, because if you are suddenly talking to someone and they haven't given you permission, you could be triggering a lot of emotions that have been repressed. And how many of you have ever gone into a store or a car dealership and you have a salesperson jumping all over you? That's what makes sales ugly, when it's not permission based. So go ahead, write that down. If it is not permission based, it feels uncomfortable. So just being respectful and being able to say, Angela, I would love to give you more information. Would it be better to go on a website right now, or can I give you a call at 8 o'clock? So an either or approach. Or after you affirm them, saying, would it be okay if I share my story? My day is spent, now I've started something, Miss Annette and Larry, my day is spent doing lots and lots and lots of three-way calls. But one of the things I always do is ask permission. So if I have, let's say, Larry's not financially linked to me, but I'll just use him as an example. So let's say Larry has Annette on the phone, and so Annette, I'm getting to common ground. Let's say I find out that Annette has children and I have children. We're going to talk about the children, and I'm going to affirm her just for taking a genuine interest in her health. I say, Annette, would it be okay if I share with you a little bit about how I got started in Isagenix? And then Annette says, sure. Now she's feeling good. She's giving me permission. And the I stands for your Isagenix information, your Isagenix story. So that's the goal. And so we use this approach with three-way phone calls. We use this approach with our prospecting calls. And, after you go through all of the process, you may in fact have objections or questions. And you want to welcome them, because they really do make you stronger. And with the objections or the questions, one of the things that you want to anchor yourself in is really being that person who never gives up, and you just continue to believe in your dreams and goals. So if, for example, Angelica says, well, how much does this cost? I'm not going to get all tense and freaked out. I'm just going to take a breath, and then I'm going to affirm her and say, you know what, Angela, it's a great question. And so I want to affirm her, and then I want to say, Angela, based on your goals, let's say, or Angelica, based on your goals, and let's say Angelica wanted to lose 20 pounds and she'd been trying to lose it for 2 years. I'd say, how much money have you spent trying to release that same 20 pounds? And she'd go, oh my gosh, girl, I've done Weight Watchers and I've bought magazines and gym memberships, probably thousands of dollars. And I'd say, well, Angela, we can actually radically transform your health for about $20 a day and a money back guarantee. That's the President's Pack. And we know the President's Pack radically transforms health. So that's where I'd start her. And then we could go down to $8.50 a day. If someone says, is this network marketing? What a great question. Tell me what you know about it. So always ask for more clarity. Anytime someone's coming with some kind of objection, just ask them to tell you more. Well, this sounds really good, but I don't think I have the time to do it. Well, one of the things that you could say is the time for what? To make more money and create your freedom, but you don't want to get in people's face like that. I mean, maybe you do. For me, in building the team, it's not something I've done, because I want to leave people in a better place for having the phone call, just having that courage to connect. So I would say, well, tell me more. What's going on in your life? And, I would then reconnect them with why they started asking questions about Isagenix in the beginning. And if someone, maybe you've been talking to them about the business, but they're, kind of backsliding a bit on the business, refocus them on the product, because what we know is when people get on the products and they start to feel good, then they're going to have greater belief in the business. Now, this picture I'm showing you is a gentleman by the name of Sean Ryan. Does anyone know who it is? Sean Ryan. Do. Well, any guesses? He's the guy with the hat. Well, let me tell you about, thank you, Richard Baird. Well, let me tell you who Sean Ryan is. There was an article about Sean Ryan, and Sean Ryan is a prospector, as in prospecting for gold. And he went up to the Yukon, and he believed that he could find the original source of the Klondike gold rush. And everyone said, Sean, you're crazy. You're never going to do it. And he believed in his dream so much, he ended up living in a 360 square foot corrugated shack. And he got married, and he and his wife live in the shack. She was a part-time waitress. They had 2 little kids, next to nothing. This goes on for 7 years, and everyone's like, ooh, that guy is crazy. Well, guess what? After 7 years, he found it. He found it. And within days, he went to being worth, from nothing to multiple millions. And today, he is one of the most well-known consultants in the gold industry. So really, you think about that, and would you do it for 7 years, right? When I started, and I had to tell my husband this was my last network marketing company. I've done 5 in total. I started in the industry when I was 24, but my stepmother was in a network marketing company when I was growing up, so I did in-home presentations and all those things. So by the time we got to this point and my last company closed, he said, this has to be it. And I said, will you give me 7 years? And he said, what are you talking about, 7 years? And I said, well, I promise you, this is my last company, but you have to give me 7 years to become a millionaire. My husband thought I was insane. He thought I was the Sean Ryan. Like, I'm sure he was going to get me committed, but he saw how the product had really saved my life, and he said, okay, just get the product paid for. Like, he thought I was seriously loco committable. And so when I called Jimmy Smith, I said, Jimmy, my name is Susan Slime. I'm in your organization. Will you teach me what it takes to become a millionaire? I know exactly who you are. I was in a company you were in. I read about you in a magazine, but I'll be on auto ship for 7 years. He said, no one's ever said that to me before. He said, why 7 years? And I said, because it took my husband 7 years to become a chartered accountant. We each have 7 years of post-secondary education, and I figure it's going to take me 7 years to really hit my groove. And he said, Susan, you'll do it in half the time. And because I made that commitment, I did. I made my first million in 3.5 years. And so you've got to have the commitment of a Sean Ryan, even when people are telling you you're crazy, even when they're objecting, even when they're saying, is this network marketing? How much does this cost? You've got to continue to believe in your dreams and just focus forward. That's the only way you're ever going to make that progress. Now, does anyone know who this is? Thank you, Joyce. Does anyone know who this gal is? Not that one. My computer did it again. Okay, I'm really going to the Mac tomorrow. Larry, you just heard me. Okay, nope. Okay, this is Liz Murray. And Liz Murray, in being a victim and not a victor, Liz Murray, her parents were both crack addicts, and she grew up in and out of the shelter system in New York City. And her mother prostituted herself in order to buy drugs. And so Liz and her little sister were in and out of the system. She watched her mother die with blood coming out of every orifice of her body. Her father couldn't hold it together, and he ended up passing when Liz was a teenager. And she decided all through this that she would continue to go to school. And what she would do is she would go to school in the day, and at night she'd be doing her homework under bridges and in stairwells. Sometimes she'd find a friend's couch to sleep on. And one day the principal of her school said, I'm selecting 10 students to go visit Harvard University. And Liz said, I really want to go. I don't know much about Harvard. I know it's a good school, but I really want to go. And so she wrote an essay asking, that she go and explaining why she wanted to go, and she was selected. And after that, she came back that visit and she worked her tail off, and she wrote her SATs. And again, all the while never having a roof over her head, she went on a full scholarship to Harvard, and today she is one of the top motivational speakers in America. And the reason I wanted to share that story is that, guys, there's going to be lots of opportunities to want to quit, to want to give up, but have the courage and tenacity of Liz Murray to, do whatever it takes. if you're going for a goal and it's the last day of the month and one more enrollment will mean that you can have free Ageless Essentials with product B, and that's something you maybe couldn't have afforded to add to your own auto ship, then you get out there and you make those connections. There were lots of times I had wall kicking moments, and it doesn't matter, you're hearing my own voice. There were lots of times when I could have said I'm quitting because it wasn't easy. But here's what I found. It's that the challenging times, they're the ones that make us the strongest. And I always say that leadership is forged in the flame of challenge. And that's why I love this picture of Liz Murray. And this gal, Tracy Rankin, this is a lady that I sponsored, and she served America, and she still serves America. I shouldn't say she served for the U.S. Air Force. And she was in Kuwait when she did the Team Builder Excellence Award. And Tracy's heart is unbelievable. She would call me on a calling card from the base in Kuwait in the middle of the night because the time difference to do three-way phone calls. And whenever she had downtime, she would go into the library or in the cafeteria and she'd be prospecting and connecting and doing whatever it took. And Tracy is an amazing woman. No excuses, no excuses. And you know, there she is serving the United States, and you can see she's very tiny. I think her rucksack weighed more than she did. And you know, there she is doing all of the things that are in her ability. Because why? Tracy doesn't say these things are a liability. I'm in Kuwait, there's a time difference, my sponsor is all the way, you know, across the world. What she said are, these are my assets, and I'm going to use the assets I have. And that's what I want for all of us. I want you to take a look at the assets that you have, and I want you to make a decision that you do have everything it takes to be successful. I mean, look at these webinars Jay puts on for free. What a blessing they are. Oh my gosh. And maybe someday I'll actually really get good at the technology. And well, I haven't been that great at technology so far, but I've done okay in Isagenix. No, I'm getting better. You want to know your numbers. This really liberated me. It takes 5 to 7 exposures before someone buys. So I want you to think that I called Joyce and we're chatting about Isagenix. That's exposure 1. Then she looks at a video. It's exposure 2. Now she has questions when I follow up. This is exposure 3. We do a 3-way call. That's exposure 4. And then she requires 1 more exposure because I call her back after the call to actually get her started. So this is a statistic from traditional sales. And I can use another one. So I want you to imagine it's 5 o'clock. What kind of commercials are on television? It's for the Pizza Hut and Domino's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and all the fast food, Popeyes, whatever. I don't really know all the names of it. And they show them at the time you're most vulnerable, most hungry, and they show them over and over and over again because they know after 5 to 7 exposures, especially if you're hungry, you're going to be worn down and you're going to be out the door, you know, getting all the fat and sodium and all that bad stuff for you. Now, as I said, for every 10 people who view a video, a minimum of 2 will enroll. So when you look at this, you say, Susan, all I really have to do is have 10 people a week watch a video. Yes, but you can't just email it to them. I can't just, thank you, Angelica, I appreciate you. That I can't just email it to Adrienne and go, Adrienne, you know, here's a video to watch and count that as my 1. I have to actually make sure that she watches the video. Okay, and Julie, that's a great question. Can anyone do the 3-way call? Yeah, I mean, sometimes people do the 3-way call with someone who, let's say I'm in your downline and you're going to place Angie Fuller under me potentially. So, you know, there's no one upline to do the 3-way call with, but you do it with me because I've had a great product experience because I'm going to be financially linked. So yes, and Julie, you want to have a few people in your Rolodex to be able to do 3-way calls with. Absolutely, that's a great question. And, you know, sometimes we feel, gosh, there's not really a lot of people to do 3-way calls with, but, you know, I've done them, you know, with cross-line people. I've done them with other people. It just, you know, for, you know, personal prospects, you know, and it really just depends. But set a great intention to have, just say, I want to have 3 people that I know I can count on to be able to do 3-way calls with. So knowing these numbers, so if you enrolled, let's say Bernard, and Bernard's a big thinker, he's like, I really want to do this. I want to make $10,000 a month the next 6 months. So you would be able to paint a picture and say, Bernard, can you commit to having 2 people a day watch a video? 5 days a week. Can you commit to doing that? And Bernard says, yes, I can. Then we know he is going to be someone who is really going to go to the top because he's accountable and he's committed. Now, finally, I want to finish with this. In the words of Jimmy Smith. Now, that picture is actually in my office at my house, and Jimmy is so darling and so wonderful, an amazing, amazing man. And I thought, gosh, we had just bought the house, and that's why my office is looking a bit in disarray. But I said, gee, if Jimmy sits behind my desk, then definitely that will be some wonderful blessing in my office. So that's Jimmy on my phone. Don't worry, I have a headset. I do have a ground wired line too, just in case the power goes out, but that's Jimmy in my office. So these are the things. So people always say to me, Jimmy, Susan, what did Jimmy say to you in the first phone call? And here are 4 of the things that he said. He said, Susan, the only way you're ever going to fail is to quit, right? So we know if we give up that we're never going to be a Liz Murray. We're never going to be a Sean Ryan. So we're not going to find the gold. We're not going to go to Harvard. We're not going to be a Jimmy Smith, right? What if Kathy Coover and Jim Coover had decided to quit the first time someone returned the products? I mean, where would we all be today? Thank the Lord that they didn't, right? Number 2, he says, get a dream, form a team, and focus in. So if you've been following along in the Health, Wealth, and Freedom team, yesterday morning I did a 30-minute training on vision. And you want to get a vision that is very encompassing and welcomes other people. So my initial vision was to co-create 10 six-figure women. So if you were a woman, or, I tell men too, because maybe, for their partner, their sister, whomever, but I tell everyone I am going to co-create 10 six-figure women. I'm in the process, write that one down. I'm in the process of co-creating 10 six-figure women. And I had never done that in network marketing before. I had never made 6 figures in network marketing before, but that was my vision. And a lot of women joined because of that vision. And today, to fast forward time, we have done that. And there are lots of 6-figure women in Isagenix. So, that doesn't have to be your vision. Maybe your vision is to assist 20 people in the year 2012 in being able to have their mortgages paid by Isagenix. The mortgage and the car payment are the 2 most stressful payments in America and Canada. So get a vision and then form your team. You're looking to link arms with 10 good people. These are your generals, the people who you can connect with, who you can do calls with, and you help those 10 generals find their 10 generals, and they're doing the calls with those people. Carol Taylor told me, she said, Susan, you can only ever work super duper closely with 5 to 10 people at one time. And it's true. And people say, Susan, isn't it exhausting building a huge organization? But my piece has always been that the people who were on auto ship, who were committed to the product, who were willing to have those people look every day, who were willing to be accountable, that I would work with 5 to 10 of those people and help to develop leaders. Would they all become leaders at the same speed? No. But if they were doing the bare minimum commitment, they had a good shot at it. They were plugging in, they were going to ICUs, they were very positive. And once those leaders got going, then it was time to get a new crop of leaders going. And that's precisely what I'm doing now. I'm just a very transparent person, and I'm working with several leaders right now to help them. They've gone from 1-star to 2-star, and one's gone to 3-star, and now 4-star. And so these leaders, as they're going, that once they get going and more self-sustaining, then that the reentry is maxed out, right? So we know that to max out a center, it requires 3 3-star golden circles on one leg and 6 on the other, and it's a done deal. So if you're not committed to auto ship, committed to prospecting, committed to those things, you're not going to attract people who will be either. So it starts with us, right? And then we focus in the daily activities, prospecting, enrolling, and training our people. I call it the PETting acronym: prospect, enroll, and train. And then we got to know the numbers, and I talked to you about that as well. And perhaps in my training next month, I'll focus more on the numbers because I am really, crazy for numbers. I love the numbers. I dream, eat, and sleep the numbers of network marketing, but know your numbers. And again, 10 people who look, 2 will sign up, 5 to 7 exposures. And the sad thing is, and I want to reiterate the statistic, I apologize for going a bit late, and I hope you're all getting value tonight, is that, and Jack Canfield talks about this in the success principles, that most salespeople give up after the second follow-up, but 70% of sales are made after the 4th follow-up. We know this statistically, right? So you've got to know these numbers. And Jimmy says, if you want to make a professional income, turn pro. So if you want to make a professional income, turn pro. And I'm actually writing a series right now. Writing is my passion, and ever since I was a little girl, I dreamt of being a writer. So I'm writing a series right now on my blog, susansly.com, and it's all around the 10 habits that can make you millions. And habit number 1 is vision, and then you'll see what habit number 2 is this Friday when it comes out, but that's on susansly.com. So I just want to very, very quickly, that's 60 seconds. If anyone has any quick questions, you can just chat them in there. But I'd love to know, just in a line, what you received from tonight's training. That helps me, because when time is so precious, right? And I know many of us have families, and if I'm on this webinar, it means I'm not putting the baby to bed. So Chris is actually doing that for me right now. But in order for me to be the best trainer that I can be to contribute to you, even though you're not, many of you aren't necessarily linked to me, it helps me if I know what things I touched on that really assisted you. So if you could give me that, that would be fabulous. So who can tell me, what are some of the things you're taking away that I can do this, not to give up? Angelica, you absolutely can. Borrow from my belief. I borrowed from Jimmy's belief. It's all good. Daily action. Yes, absolutely, Angie. And it's 6 days labor, 1 day's rest. And thank you, Greg. Solid info to help focus on. I don't do business on Sunday, but Monday to Saturday, oh, guys, watch me go. Direction, confidence, and that thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Never give up, even if it takes years. I mean, gosh, thank you, Angie. I love the C.A.P.I. I was not an overnight success. One of the things I say when I train prospecting is you've got to be willing to be bad enough long enough to get good. I remember when I was back in the early days calling leads, when I was in another company, I would spend 2 hours on the phone with someone, even though, I knew this person had no energy. They didn't really understand what I was talking about. And in those days, we used to have to mail out cassette tapes. So I'd talk to them for 2 hours, mail out a cassette tape, then I'd follow up. Oftentimes they wouldn't be there. I mean, my gosh, guys, I did everything wrong. So please, know that the faster that you get out there and put yourself out there, the faster you're going to go, because we've all got to make the mistakes. I mean, look at me with the webinar tonight. So Adrienne, I love your name, by the way. How do you handle the objection of people who say network marketing is just not for them? That's my biggest objection right now. Here's the thing, Adrienne, is that when we're attracting that objection, the first step is for us to understand the industry more, okay? So we have to understand that network marketing is a distribution model, just like Costco is a distribution model. Amazon.com is a distribution model. It's a distribution model that does not require professional advertising. So for example, Nike pays Michael Jordan, still even Tiger Woods, famous athletes, they pay them multi-million-dollar contracts in order to wear the clothing and endorse the shoes. Yet if we go to, say, Cambodia, where one of the Nike factories is, I actually have been to Cambodia many times, that the landed cost to make that pair of shoes is about $10 to $20. And then back in America, we sell them for $180. But a big portion of that shoe sale is actually those multi-million-dollar endorsements. So what Isagenix does is saying, you know what, we're not going to have retail storefronts because those cost us money. We are not going to pay big-name athletes and celebrities to endorse. We're going to pay everyday people. So it's a wonderful way to really elevate people. And a statistic I heard, Angie, is also that 80% of American women who make over $100,000 a year do it in network marketing and direct sales. Okay, so that's a stat. So when we look at the network marketing industry, we want to really know about it, understand it. Now, I wrote a book that is available through Sound Concepts, and it's called Inspired to Win in MLM. And there are other people in it like T. Harv Eker, Mark Victor Hansen, different friends of mine who are authors. They all did little parts of it. And basically, I talk about what network marketing is and the history of the industry, how it became legitimized in 1979. And when you really understand it, then you have this different confidence about you, and you're not convincing anyone. The other thing, if someone says, well, is this network marketing, say, yeah, actually it is. What do you know about it? And allow them to share. And you'll be surprised. Some people actually do know about it, but it is the fastest growing segment of the economy. And in fact, you know, the numbers of people participating in network marketing are growing exponentially every year. And that's why Paul Zane Pilsner, I'm so excited that he's going to be at Celebration, because he is, you know, a brilliant economist who advises presidents, but also because he's very well versed in the network marketing industry. So Adrienne, I am hoping that that gave you some great information. Thanks, Julie. All right, couple more quick ones. What, anyone have a final question before we wrap it up? It's called Inspired to Win in MLM. I think it's $6. It's very inexpensive. You are welcome, Pamela. A lady with another alliteration name. I'm SS and you're PP. Jonathan, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Oh, you're very welcome, Adrienne. Well, guys, with that, I am going to be here next month. And again, I apologize for my wonkiness. Next time I do it, Larry, you can hold me accountable. I will be on my new Mac. So take care, everyone. And I just wish you so much success with your Isagenix journey. I mean, the reality is there's lots of room for us to link arms, and we don't have to be in competition. We could be in collaboration, and let's take it to the next level and finish the month strong. So take care,